afternoon, everyone. It's March 31st, about 12:30 in the afternoon. This is Infrared, and we're in front of Brooklyn Borough Hall so that you don't have to be. It's a most welcome warm day. Right now it's in the low 60s. This neighborhood goes by many names. Borough Hall, Civic Center. That name was most common in the 70s. Downtown Brooklyn, Brooklyn Heights, and a new name I just discovered today, the Brooklyn Skyscraper Historic District, which is what is listed on those brown street signs across the street. So I'm guessing these are the historic skyscrapers. I don't know anything about them. So, more homework to do. I think the historic district may be only 1 block long. Brooklyn Borough Hall was originally built sometime before 1898 as Brooklyn City Hall when Brooklyn was a separate city, before the Greater New York consolidation of 1898. This is the southern beginning of Columbus Park. We have a lot of bus routes that terminate in downtown Brooklyn, terminating on these next couple blocks. This is the New York State Supreme Court building. An elevator entrance to the Borough Hall station. So just another view of Borough Hall. How can you get here? Well, take any train that goes to Borough Hall. The 2, 3, 4, 5, the R to Court Street, the A, C, or F to J Street Metrotech. Anyway, lots of trains, most of them. Even the G to Hoyt Schermerhorn. Statue of Christopher Columbus. No comment except these barriers, these portable barriers, weren't here before. And by before I mean months ago. I haven't been here in months. It is March 31st, a Thursday. About 1:45 p.m. We're approaching the main post office of Brooklyn. I think most of the square footage inside this building is no longer occupied by the post office. This is a statue of Henry Ward Beecher. The building about a block away with red and blue bordered windows used to be a family court building. It's now a public school. It's actually a complex that houses more than one school organization. The post office. Oh. And the bankruptcy court. Bankruptcy court doing a brisk business. Bike lanes around here have been recently constructed. And you can bike through here, but you can't drive through here unless you're special, unless you're authorized for access. I'm guessing either to the federal courthouse, which is here. Past the state courthouse before. This is the federal courthouse, United States Courthouse for the Eastern District of New York, which includes Brooklyn, Queens, Nassau, Suffolk. I don't know about Staten Island. This was a much smaller courthouse 15 years ago. It was expanded a lot. And this is Cadman Plaza Park. All right, operating hours till 1 a.m. So let's go. We can spend 13 more hours in here. What are all of these black vans and SUVs here for? Some say City of New York. Others have, most others have regular passenger car plates. Right here is the city's Office of Emergency Management, or Department of Emergency Management. Now, with vehicle charging stations, and this is also Walt Whitman Park. One more look. Headquarters of Office of Emergency Management, or OEM. Looks like someone tried to test the barriers here. And this is interesting structure here. Some temporary triplex apartment. I wonder if this is related to, yes. Okay. I think that sign says it all. So does that one. And right next door, emergency response trucks, not for the city, but for New York City Transit. Emergency response for hydraulics emergencies. When tunnels need pumping. I think at one time this building was a Red Cross location, the building that's now occupied by New York City Transit. This cart has a good location. This is the stairway entrance to the Brooklyn Bridge. Welcome to Brooklyn. This Photoville. Anyway, to get on the bridge by stairway, Cadman Plaza East and Prospect Street. I never even knew there was a Prospect Street here. This overpass is for the BQE. The cars on the lower level of the two levels are going southbound, and they're merging from 3 lanes to 2, and that's why they're not going very quickly on the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway. No express. We're now in the Dumbo neighborhood. And Cadman Plaza East is known in this part, in this neighborhood, as Washington Street. So that's another way to find the stairway entrance to the Brooklyn Bridge. It's just Google Washington Street entrance. Dumbo down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass. These are, well, they're cobblestones and brick pavers. But they're not original. This infrastructure was upgraded several years ago. You can see the Manhattan Bridge in the distance, and in this distance you can see the Brooklyn Bridge. You may be able to hear trains going over the Manhattan Bridge. Oh, all right. So lots of photographers just now. So taking pictures of people taking pictures. This is typical of a former industrial building that's been converted to residential. This is also typical. That's a Manhattan-bound either N or Q train, and the part of the bridge closest to us, I guess, is the pedestrian walkway, and there are a few pedestrians on it now. They're small. Here we're going to enter the northeasternmost portion of Brooklyn Bridge Park. This building, by the way, was a former water meter testing facility that belonged to the city's Department of Environmental Protection. And the city moved the water meter testing facility out to Maspeth, Queens, which enabled Brooklyn Bridge Park Corporation to take over the building and convert it to this environmental education center. No bikes, Outside there's a sidewalk shed in a park. We don't know. Another view of the Manhattan Bridge. And this very tall building across the river, which was completed, I guess it's called One Manhattan Square. I don't know if it's open yet. And here we have a New York water taxi going south on the East River. Followed closely by an NYC ferry. NYC ferry heading to the Wall Street stop where all of the lines converge. Continuing still in Brooklyn Bridge Park, and let's take advantage of the view across the water. Another NYC ferry, kind of listing out there in the river. And another NYC ferry coming south. Like two ships passing on the East River. The Circle Line, despite its name, I don't think they actually provide a trip that goes entirely around Manhattan Island. They used to, but I think they're limited now to, they're limiting themselves to basically going halfway around from West 42nd Street up, I don't know, somewhere in the East River across from the Midtown area. I don't know if the decision to discontinue round trips, trips all the way around Manhattan was an economic decision or one more driven by the demands of opening some of the bridges that cross the East or Harlem rivers. So here, some preserved remnants of the industry that used to be here. So Brooklyn Bridge Park is pretty good about putting this type of sign at each entrance. The hello is nice. For us, it's goodbye. Nearest restroom 6 minutes away. Good to know. And of course, at the end of every park trip, what do you want to see most? A substation. An electric substation, and I don't know what this building with the two stack. Oh, okay. The building has one stack, and that's a crane in the foreground. We're on Bridge Street. I don't know which bridge gave this street its name, whether it's the Brooklyn or the Manhattan. We're still in the historic district, the Dumbo Historic District. This may be one of the slower Amazon Prime deliveries. What are we gonna do? This would be a good opportunity for smell-o-vision. Okay, let's check this out. Not the buildings department car, but Damascus Bakeries across the street. The front of the truck says Newark. There is a Damascus retail bakery in the Middle Eastern section of Atlantic Avenue, near Sahadi's. All right. We're on Water Street, and I believe we are now exiting the historic district. A neon studio? Okay. I never knew. Okay, now we've entered the Vinegar Hill Historic District. Why is it named Vinegar Hill? You got me. Whoa, Borman Peace Company. Decades ago, 40 years ago, they produced 12-column accounting paper, 13-column paper that we used early in our career. Well, that was a small historic district, or we only covered a small portion of it. The Vinegar Hill Historic District. We're out of it now. This has always puzzled me, why this street is named Hudson Avenue. why it's not like East River Avenue. There you have Brooklyn Tower, still under construction. Brooklyn's tallest building at over 1,000 feet. And in the distance, the prison ship Martyrs Monument, or the British prison ships Martyrs Monument, the tower in the distance in Fort Greene Park. And of course, much closer, we see parking for Wegmans. Wegmans, the 2.5-year-old outpost in Brooklyn of the reportedly beloved upstate supermarket chain. Building 92 is one of the buildings in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and I believe it's open to the public. It has a small museum of the history of the Navy Yard. Here, as the sign says, part of the NYPD's Brooklyn tow operations. And there's a Brooklyn tow operation taking place right now. Anyway, if you're unfortunate enough to get your car towed away by the police or by a private tow company that's authorized by the police, it may be towed here. There are other lots in Brooklyn as well. And after you've retrieved your car, or before you do, you may want some of the product of this location. Here, if you ride up Sand Street, there's bike lanes that'll take you to the Manhattan and Brooklyn bridges. This is NYCHA's Farragut houses across the street. I like the turreted castle-like entrance. I don't know how long these entrances have been here like this, but what a welcoming entrance to the Brooklyn Tow Pound. Guess it opens later. Oh, there's Kings County Distillery down there, right next to Wegmans. So the Navy Yard operates its own shuttles for employees who work here. That one's going to Atlantic Terminal. I think there's at least one more route to some other major subway stop. And here's Wegmans. Map for the bus routes that the Navy Yard runs. Oh, there's a Dumble shuttle and Atlantic Terminal. All right. Well, we're inside the Navy Yard and no one's questioned us. So let's keep going. So this building says Paymaster of the Navy Yard. I guess I should mention the obvious now. This is called the Brooklyn Navy Yard. It was a Navy Yard. They built ships here. And their slogan now is something like, we used to build ships and now we build industries, or we used to build ships and now we build businesses. I think this is part of what happens at the end of the distilling process. Every building is numbered. There's the prison ship martyrs monument. Oh, Brooklyn Lab Charter School here. On weekdays, the B67 route, which normally terminates in downtown Brooklyn, is extended through the Navy Yard and eventually to Williamsburg. And here's the other shuttle bus to Dumbo. I don't know what any of these buildings used to be or what they are now. Yeah, so this sign probably means that there's a film shoot down here. That's the sign that says catering. Railroad track remnants. This, this taller building in the center of the screen is building, I think 77. More importantly, it is open to the public. You enter it from Flushing Avenue and you walk through it with a mask on for now to go to the NYC ferry stop at Brooklyn Navy Yard. You have to tell the security officer who's sitting at the desk about midway through that entrance hall. You're going to the ferry, and they gladly buzz you through the turnstile. Otherwise, you need to pass through an employee turnstile to exit the building. So here is where New York City ferry boats rest overnight and are serviced. So appropriately, NYC Ferry maintains its boats in the Navy Yard. We have a Coast Guard ship here. Whoa. So I wasn't sure before when I walked over here, I wasn't sure whether these cranes worked or not. And I guess my conclusion now is I certainly hope they do. So if you're searching for the Brooklyn Navy Yard stop on a map, you just need to allow plenty of time. Once you enter the building 77 where it says NYC Ferry, you need to allow all the time we've taken so far, plus I would say another 5 minutes, and that building has nicely maintained restrooms and a few food surprises. Russ and Daughters especially, and some other food establishments. So here we are, the Brooklyn Navy Yard stop. It's 1:43 now, so looks like the next ferries aren't going to be for a while. And here's a map of the entire system for now. In the near future, there's supposed to be Coney Island stop, but it's not completed yet. And every NYC ferry stop has this real-time information, which says, a little hard to read, but like 18 minutes to Wall Street, or 46 minutes, look like we just missed one, 46 minutes to Astoria. All right. Oh, here's a map that's hasn't been subject to the ravages of time and weather. It shows Coney Island future landing. So let's just take one last look at what we can see from here, from north to south. The Williamsburg Bridge, Manhattan. You can see more NYC ferries. Some of them elevated by davits. that's what they're called. And one last look at the Navy Yard, and a look at this mural, and seating area for the public, and this building, which before the pandemic was a WeWork building, and WeWork name is still on it. Anyway, thanks for spending this time with us. This is Infrared, and this is what you've been watching.